Hi, Laura Grisham here with Laura Grisham Designs. Today I'm going to show you how to make a daffodil bouquet on a Unique in the Creek triangle board. We're going to make three fairly large daffodil blooms and put them with some leaves onto the board using horizontal wide stripe mesh and poly burlap for leaves, and of course the triangle board, and embroidery canvas, the little plastic sheets. I'm going to show you how to do that today, and I hope you enjoy it. Okay, this is the daffodil flower that I designed. I actually got the idea. Unique in the Creek has a tutorial that Laurie Franklin did of a very large daffodil. But in my yard in the spring, it's the first flower that comes up, and I always just love to see them. They're so bright and sunny, and I wanted to make a wreath, but I didn't want one great big one. I wanted several. So I took what I saw her do and I kind of shrunk it down. So I'm going to show you how to do that. This is what it looks like when you're done. You can see it's on plastic canvas. And what you're going to need a triangle board from Unique in the Creek. You're going to need, to make three daffodils to go on the board, you'll need three, these are 5 by 5 inches. I cut these out of a large sheet, but I found that the 5-inch square was the right size. And you can see that these have the larger holes. I think it's a number 5 instead of a number 7, which is what you see most of the time. But you'll need 3 5 by 5 inch squares of plastic embroidery canvas. You're going to need, each daffodil has 6 petals. In nature they do. So you're going to need, if you make 3, that means you'll need 18 pieces of yellow mesh cut at 10 by 10. And then I use, or at least what I have in stock and what I was using, is horizontal wide stripe mesh. Fabric mesh, I'm sure would work just fine. I kind of toyed around with some regular deco mesh yesterday, and it's not conducive. It's too thin. So I would recommend that you spend a little bit more. You're not each flower doesn't take very many pieces, so you can get several wreaths out of a roll of mesh. So go ahead and spend a little extra to get some higher quality mesh. And then you're going to need orange. Now, I don't know how many pieces to tell you. This particular flower, this one that I just made, I started with 4 pieces, and I think I was up to 8. So I'm guessing 6 to 8 pieces of the orange in order to to cover up stuff. Okay, so you'll need the squares, you'll need the yellow, the orange, and then of course you'll need green for your leaves. And I like to use poly burlap for my leaves, and this is just I think it's like a spring green or apple green. And then if you'll notice, I've got 2 different colors of green. I used to teach art, and I took a lot of art in college, obviously. And I used to paint all the time. And what you discover when you're doing art and painting is to take your colors and blend them like this. It gives depth and dimension to your work. Well, if it does that with paint, it's going to do it with mesh. So I like to use at least 2 different colors of green when I'm doing my flowers and stuff. For example, I made a bouquet of roses, and you can see that I took those same greens, and you can see I combined them to make the leaves, and it really helps with the dimension. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on that. let me show you how to, let's get started, and I'll show you how to make the daffodil. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to make the orange centers. And very easy, you take, this is 10 by 10. The mesh is cut at 10 by 10. You take it and curl side up, your finished edges on the sides. You're going to take it and you're going to fold it up with your raw edges together. No diamonds this time. We're going to fold it with raw edges together, and we're going to try to line these edges, the finished edges, we're going to try to line them up. Now I'm going to take this long rectangular piece, and I'm going to fold it in half again. And when you're working with mesh, it's going to go everywhere. So you just kind of have to keep messing with it with your hands and mashing to keep it fairly straight. Go ahead and put your finished edges together again, and you'll have a square. It looks like this. Then you're going to take it and you're going to turn it toward yourself. Turn it so that the raw edge, this unfinished edge, is facing towards you. And then take the corners and fold them in like this, and then just roll. And the reason I tuck those ends in is to get those scraggly little frays out of the way so they don't show. And I'm going to just roll this up. Now you can go tight or loose or a combination, but you're going to end up with this, okay? And I don't like the way that looks, so let's do it again. I'm going to roll it a little tighter. Now I've got my seam right here, right there. I'm going to take this and fold it in half so that it looks something like this. I've caught my finger stuck right in there. I'm going to go ahead and take, now I'm going to rubber band it. Now, I have a personal preference of using 2 rubber bands, simply because for some reason they always break on me. So if I have 2 on there, then there's less likely a chance that, excuse me, that they break. So you put the rubber band around them and you have this little thing. Now, what you're going to do with your grid, you're going to guess really kind of at the center. Right in here is the center. And you can take a Sharpie if you want to and measure it out and mark everything if you want. I just kind of eyeball. But go ahead and take a zip tie. These are 8-inch. I tried 6-inch and they were just too short. At least they were to me. I'm going to go right here in between those 2, where that's folded, right there where it's folded. I'm going to go in with my zip tie like this. Then I'm going to just go in, take my zip tie, go into a hole close to the center, and up a hole, just a hole, somewhere. You need to at least skip one square. And here we go. It's crazy looking. We're going to go ahead and zip tie this. I'm going to take it and I'm going to turn it. You can turn it and you can get it to stand up like this. And then go ahead and tighten your zip tie. And you've got the beginning of the center of a daffodil. Okay, now you might ask, well, how many of those do we need? It's different for me every time because sometimes the yellow petals, I get them in closer. So I always start with like 4. And then I put my yellow petals on, and then I add more orange as I need to cover up, gaps and fill in things like that. So I'm going to take another piece of orange. I'm going to fold it into this rectangle with my raw edges together, my finished edges together on the sides, my raw edges together, I'm going to turn it and fold it so that it's in a square. Again, matching up as best you can those finished edges, and you're trying for a square. Now, I'm real weird about some things. I hate all this right here. It's uneven. This is going to be inside, but still it bothers me. So I'm going to take my rotary cutter and I'm just going to kind of trim this up just a tad, just to get it a little nicer. Now then, I'm going to take it so that my raw edges are facing towards me. I'm going to go ahead, take the corners, fold them in a little bit like this, and then just roll this up. You're hiding it, all those nasty frays. And now my seam right here, this where it ended, is on the bottom. So I'm going to take that, and I've got it just like this. I'm going to fold it up. Just put your finger right there and fold it up. Okay? And I just grab it like that. Take your rubber bands. Again, I've got to get two. And rubber band it. It's going to look something like that. Next, take your zip tie. Go right through the middle. Just like that. And get your grid and find a spot. You want these things to go crazy. You don't want to line them up like this, where they're just, lined up. I'm going to, make it at an angle so that, I can cover up some petals. So I'm going to go in a hole, come out, make sure that there's a hole in between, that they're not side by side. And I'm going to go ahead and, if I can see that, and zip this on there. And again, I'm going to work with it so that it's standing up, and just pull that zip tie real tight. And now I have two of my little orange thingies. And the thing about this is once you get your flower done, you can always go in and if I turn this like this, I can see right in there. Now, when someone's looking at your wreath, they see it straight on. They're not seeing it from this angle. But if that bugs you, take a little glue and maybe put a dab between these two and kind of glue them together a little bit. Or take them and mash it down and spread them out a little bit. That always works too. As you can see. And there you go. All right. So we've got two on here now. Let's do another one. We're going to fold it into a rectangle with our raw edges together and our finished edges together. I'm going to fold it to a square. And you just have to work with it. You don't want it to be perfect. You're not going to get it perfect. But just, get it to where it's at least neat. I'm going to cut a little bit off right here, those little scragglies. I'm going to turn it so that the raw edge is facing me. I'm going to take my two corners of my raw edges and fold them in. And then I'm going to just roll. Now my seam is on the bottom. There it is right there. I'm going to take it and fold it up so that that's in the middle. And I've got this. Take my rubber bands. And rubber band it. And this is what I've got. Take your zip tie Go right in the middle, right through there. And if you go in the mesh, so what? It's fine. But you know, you want to get it, try to get it in between. And if it really bugs you, just kind of squish it, and it'll make a little bit of a hole, and you can go in. Okay, put your zip tie in like that. And I think I want this one to go somewhere right in here. So I'm going to go right about, I'm guessing, y'all, about right here. I'm going to go up, let's go right there. And I'm going to play with this a little bit and tighten up that zip tie. And there we go. We've got 3 pieces, so we've got 6 little coral looking things on here. So that's 3. Let's do one more orange, and then we'll put on some yellow petals, and we can always add more orange. All right, this one's corner is bent. Let's get another piece. Y'all have to excuse me. I have a sinus infection and can't get rid of it. All right. Fold it into a rectangle. Fold it into a square, matching up your sides. Here we go. And I'm going to turn it so that my raw edge again is facing me. I'm going to take those 2 corners and fold them in so that it kind of looks like an envelope, I guess. And then I'm going to take all that nasty raw edge stuff and fold it into the middle. I don't want it to show. I don't want any of those frays. And then I'm going to roll it up. I've got my seam right there. I'm going to fold that up so that it's, or try to, so that it's on the inside, like that. I'm going to take a couple of rubber bands. And rubber band it. Okay, take my zip tie and go right. I've got a perfect spot for it this time. You can see right where it needs to go, right through there with my zip tie. And I think I'm going to go right in here, put one right in there, it looks like. Because your petals, like I said, a daffodil has 6 yellow petals. So you've got 4 corners, and then you can go opposite in the center. So I want to, kind of have that idea that there's going to be petals going this way and this way and this way and this way. So I want to make sure that I have coverage in this area right here. So I think I'm going to go right here. Right there. Well, let's skip up one. I'm going to go right there. And stay in towards the center. And it really helps having the plastic canvas have the larger holes. It really helps. Especially if you're using 8-inch zip ties like I am. Okay. I'm going to tighten that up. Work with that a little bit. And they stand right up. On the first one I didn't do it quite this way, and I used a lot of rubber bands trying to make them stand up. But if you put that zip tie where it's folded like this, if you put that in between and you've got that rubber band above it, it just makes it stand up perfect. Yes, you've got all those rubber bands, but after a while, that mesh is going to stay like that. If those rubber bands pop off, you've still got the zip tie there holding it on. All right, let's make the yellow petals. You use a 10 by 10 inch piece of mesh, and you take it with your curl side up, your finished edges on the sides, and your raw edges on the top and bottom. We're going to do the same thing that we did with the orange. We're going to fold it in half, just like that. Kind of trying to match up our sides and stuff. And here we go, playing with this mesh, trying to make it do what we want it to. It's not like working with paper. All right, we're going to fold it in half, exactly the same thing. This time I really want to match up as best I can. I want to get this right. And, you know, sometimes it helps if you clip. It. I'm going to go ahead and grab a clip. I think I'm going to stick it right there. And kind of hold that in place. I'm going for a square. Okay, I'm going to trim this up. Again, you don't have to do that. That's just me. Me and my rotary cutter. And I make sure I change the blade quite frequently. All right, I'm going to turn this. Here's my raw edge. I've got a fold here. See where it's folded? I've got a fold here. This is open. And then I have finished edges up here. I'm going to take it and I'm going to turn it into a diamond like this. I'm going to grab a corner. Doesn't matter which one. Well, you want your open side. You don't want to use that side, or, well, you want to use the side, a raw edge side and the finished edge side, not the fold or the open fold. And you're going to just pinch it like that. Just pinch it. If you need to pinch it in the middle first and then pinch it to the sides, that's fine. Do it that way. Again, I'm a stickler for rubber bands. I go through tons of them. I'm going to take my rubber bands and I'm going to rubber band this after I get it to look the way I want. Okay. Just take that off. And this is what we have. You've got this. All right. I'm going to cut some of this off. As you can see, it's almost time for a new blade in my rotary cutter. All right, now, I told you a minute ago about it having 6 petals. So I'm going to go and I'm going to start putting petals on in these corners. And one thing you want to do, it doesn't matter which side you put this open fold, the open side on. It's just that you be consistent all the way around. You do all of them the same, with the open side going this way, or flip it and the open side that way. And they need to be the same going all the way around. So once you put one on, follow your pattern after that. I'm going to go, here's my corner. I'm going to go right up in here, and I'm going to go as close to that orange as I can with my zip tie and come up. I'm going to go ahead and close this, make it a little bit easier. And I'm going to take my petal and just tuck it in there. Can you see that? I'm just kind of tucking it in. as close to those orange petals as I can, or cones, or those orange thingies as I can get it. I'm going to tighten this up and cut my zip tie. And I've got my first petal for my daffodil. Now, what I like to do, it goes back to my art background with doing things symmetrical, and you know, it's just part of my personality now, I guess. But I'm gonna take my second petal and I'm gonna go opposite this one so that they stay natural looking. Okay, I'm gonna go back, raw finished edges on the side, raw edges top and bottom, fold it in half, fold it in half, so that you have a square. Boy, those raw edges don't want to meet, do they? Okay, that's better. Okay, that's acceptable. I'm going to trim that up a little bit. I'm going to take it, and you can stretch it if you want to. I tend to not, but I'm going to take it right here on this side. I'm going to pinch it and rubber band it right there. Cut off some of that tail. And y'all don't have to use a rotary cutter. You can use scissors. It's just that I just didn't even want to, I'm too lazy and I didn't even want to pick them up. I'm going to get my zip tie. And like I said, I'm going to go opposite this one. So I'm going to go to this corner. I'm going to go up here as close into these orange things as I can. Let's see if I can get in that hole right there. We did. And I'm going to come up. Make sure your zip tie's going in the right direction. Okay. And it's not. Sometimes, and you've got to remember, the flat side of your zip tie right here, the flat side, is the side that your tail's going to go in, or it won't lock. So make sure that you get that right. Well, and you can smash stuff around, y'all. I mean, if I can grab that. Well, I'm grabbing something that's not even in there. Let's see here. Go right there. Is that right? I don't like that angle. I'm going to go right there. I'm going to go right there. Can y'all see? Right there. And then up. Right here. My hands aren't wanting to work. All right, well, at least I got the zip tie right this time. And then I'm going to, all right, now I've got to look at my petal. Here's the open side is on the left. So when I put this one, you want it, if it's confusing to you, take it and put it on top of it and say, okay, they're going the same direction. So now I've got this one, it has to go that way too. So I'm going to stick this in here. And I want them to be opposite each other, like that. Okay. And cut your zip tie. I didn't trim that tail, but we can just tuck it into the orange stuff. All right. Let's do another one. You'll get faster at this too. Of course, it's that way with any petal or fold that you do with mesh or anything you do. I guess you get faster the more you do it and better at it. There we go. And those edges are okay. I'm going to go ahead and pinch. Get some rubber bands. Trim that. All right, I'm going to go to a corner. I'm going to go right in here. Right in here. Take my zip tie and go in here. So I can show you. I'm going to go, here's my corner right here. I'm going to go up to about right here. And I'm going to close that up. And making sure, again, here's my fold, open this, and it's going this way. So my fold has to go the same direction. I want it to go right there. I'm going to stick this in here. I think I've got that right. Maybe my zip tie is kind of crooked. Pull that real tight. All right, I'm going to make the other three, and I'll come back and we'll put them on instead of you guys having to just sit through the whole thing. I'll be right back.